but we can briefly look at the Exodus in the New Testament a bit. And we have to remember before we start that much of the New Testament is addressed to Jews. And continuity, therefore, with Jewish tradition is key. The whole point was that Jesus was the next step in the same continuous story. So the covenantal blood of the Last Supper harkens back to the blood of the covenant at Sinai, for an easy example. But of course, there's more. The entire book of Matthew is structured along the Exodus story, and it's structured in order to make Jesus the new Moses, as it were. So you can see some of those parallels here. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. This is a chart that was taken from a book by Dale Allison about this, about Matthew and the Exodus. We can see how this works as a sort of explicit parallel in the opening episode of Matthew's account, and here it is, at least in probably too much text to read at once. But if we look at it, we've got this is the story of Jesus and family fleeing to Egypt, and it is, I mean, astonishingly similar and clearly evoking the story of Moses fleeing Egypt, especially the remaining there until the death of Herod. Upon the death of Herod, go to the land of Israel, for those who were seeking the child's life are dead, is almost verbatim from, go return to Egypt, for those who are seeking your life are dead, as God says to Moses. This move of this fleeing to Egypt, for Matthew, it gets Jesus into Egypt, which puts him in the context of the Exodus tradition, and it does the job of identifying Herod with Pharaoh and Rome with Egypt, all of which reorients the reader for the new revelation of Jesus. The Exodus story here is the link for the transition from one identity to another. Now, of course, there are so many references to Moses and the Exodus story in the New Testament, I can't do them all, of course, but we might note things like Paul equating Jesus with the Passover sacrifice, for one famous example. And in that same context, it's not just a one-off. Paul is doing a whole bit here about leaven and the Passover sacrifice. So he's using the whole story complex. Further on in Corinthians, we get the crossing of the sea. We get reference to the water from the rock. What Paul is doing here is bringing in Israel's past to explain its present and future. The coming of Jesus marked sort of the real-time salvation of Israel. And the Exodus story is the old-time salvation of Israel that is the sort of the parallel and echo.